information overload today, but it's exciting at the beginning of the year to reset and to know what we're about as a church family. The scriptures say that unless the Lord builds the house, the home, the church, whatever, the builders who labour in it really are wasting their time. They labour in vain. It's just activity. So we're not just about activity. And so at the beginning of last year, the eldership particularly wanted to be intentional about moving forward as a church. What does the past look like? Well, we kind of know that. What does the future look like? And so we established this Future Directions group. And we asked our brother Alf, who'll be talking in a few moments' time about this, to lead that group. And so we assembled some people from our church, in addition to our eldership, the names are down there, to meet and to pray and to dream and strategise about where our church has been, to be honest about that, where it is now, and where we believe God may be leading us into the future, hence the Future Directions group. We did that in a whole bunch of different ways, but the two primary sources of our intel or our data came from the National Church Life Survey, and over 90 of you did that, which is outstanding, and it gave us a great snapshot of where we are. But in addition to that, we held at the back end of last year some conversation opportunities for our church family to feedback in real time what it was about, and we had two of those groups meeting on the same day. I think it was in October. So from then till now, the Future Directions group has tried to distill all of that stuff and look at what some of the key points are for our future directions. They sorted out some priorities and identified some methods and enablers that would help us to get from where we are now to where we believe God is leading us. So having said all of that, we want to invite Alf to come and to share about all of that. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Alf.
Thanks, Ian. Nice shirt.
Yeah.
Morning all, my name's Alf, for those that haven't met me. I am been appointed by the eldership to be the group leader of the Future Directions group, and we spent all of 2025 getting into everything that Ian's just talked about. And my job this morning is to go through with you to actually share that distillation. So moving ahead, what we've got is a number of key points. First of all, the TBC mission or vision remains as it is, which is to love God and to love people. Coincidentally, this morning at my morning devotion, I was brought to John 13, 34, 35, which basically says we are to love one another. I thought, wow, that's confirmation that it's my time to stand up here and share with you. There were a total of 7 key items that came out, and we've categorised 4 of them as pillars, and then about 3 of them as if you like, foundational drivers, how the machinery is going to work, what's going to fuel it all. So they are, as you see them on the wall, leadership development, intergenerational connection, community engagement, spiritual pathways, and then the drivers improve communications and visibility, evidence-based or data-informed planning, and broaden worship experience. And you're already starting to see through what we've heard this morning, this movement happening in our church. So when, for those that wear a lanyard during the week and are APS or have been APS in your lives, you'll possibly become familiar or be familiar with this diagram. And the diagram is that of a house, and the roof, the capstone, the umbrella is our vision or our mission to love God, love people. And then you've got those 4 pillars I talked about. And then as a foundation, we have those drivers at the base. So what I'm going to do for the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes at the most is to run through each of those items, and we'll look forward to what God has for us. So the first one is to love God and love people. That really goes without saying. As I said, even this morning I had from John 13, 34, 35, if you want to check it out later on. Loving God shapes our worship. Loving God drives our prayer, our discipleship, all things in life. Loving people shapes our hospitality, our compassion, and our witness. So everything we do flows from this central vision that we have. When we keep this as our compass, we align with Christ. Now, those that have heard one of my talks of a Sunday morning, I am a sailor. In fact, I'm about to go sailing this afternoon, and I talked about where our goal is and where we're headed and how to get around the marks and setting course. Well, this is our compass. I'll now tease out the next couple of items. So, leadership development. Christ's churches have always thrived through shared ministry and servant leadership. We want to nurture Christ-like leaders marked by humility, integrity, and courage. This includes identifying and encouraging emerging leaders across all generations. And that'll be one of the other slides, intergenerational sort of thinking. Strong leadership builds resilience and continuity for the future. The next point along is the intergenerational connection, which I've mentioned already. This was a strong theme that came out of that conversations piece that we held back in October of last year. Scripture portrays God's people as a family. We are a family. Each generation strengthens the other and has a lot to give to each other. It's not just a particular group or age group that runs things. And we certainly grow stronger when we grow together. The next point coming up, community engagement. And Alan just shared a little bit about something else that's happening in our, coincidentally brought up this morning about community engagement. But from our perspective, we're called to be the salt and the light to our community. This means building relationships, meeting needs and serving with generosity. Our presence should make God's love visible and tangible to those that are around us, not only in the workplace, but the family and our friends and our social interactions as well. I don't get much of a chance to stand up on my little boat and preach or talk about the gospel, but when I'm in that social setting afterwards in particular, there's opportunity to come, and that does come up. We exist not only for ourselves, but for those that God places around us. And I did mention this at the end of one of my talks a few weeks or months ago. I like to liberally pepper salt wherever I go, if you get that drift. All right. Is that working? Spiritual pathways, beautiful. So spiritual pathways, each person's faith journey is unique. In fact, that's something that would be an interesting experiment or interesting thing to go through, having a testimonial from each and every one of you. Guaranteed 1000% that everyone has their own unique story of how you came to know Christ, and those that are on that journey to know Christ, you have your own story as well. And that's, to me, quite remarkable. So we want to provide clear next steps for growth, and that includes courses, explorer groups, mentoring, prayer retreats, and serving opportunities. And as I said earlier, Ian's highlighted already some of those opportunities that are emerging. All of this to help us grow at a pace that honours our story, at our pace, at our church's pace. We have limited resources. We're not a 5,000 strong group here. We've got just limited resources. So it's going to be at our pace. Spiritual pathways. So next one along is to improve communications and visibility. One of our congregation had a little short story and said that she didn't know that this place existed, or she knew the building existed, but didn't know what it was until she walked around the front on the way to do some voting. So we're talking about making it more visible, both in a physical sense, but also in other ways and means. So we need to be a clear, consistent communication that helps people feel united. So not only externally, but internally. So everyone knows what's going on as much as we can. And you're hopefully seeing that vibe and that change already occurring as we go. When people understand who we are and how to engage, our participation grows. All right, so next is the data-informed or evidence-based planning. Now, I want to make it very clear that when we got together as a group, it wasn't a human-driven desire to seek direction. It was one that we connected significantly, plugged into God's ideas and thoughts and plans. We used a number of things in doing that. We read widely. There's a number of fantastic podcasts and other sources of information that I certainly, in my own mind and my own life, considered really heartily. And we came together and had the National Church Life Survey. We then went on and asked 91 participants, based on some of the distilled information from that survey, by the way, some specific questions. So all that data was driven and brought together. And our administrator, Daphne, and others, helped gather information, church attendance and things like that. So we're now focusing on all of those things, put into a prayerful mind, and we came up with what you're now receiving today. So wise, prayerful decisions shaped by evidence-based or fact-based information, as you see there. And it helps us steward various opportunities with accuracy and purpose, once again, within the resource constraints that we have where we are. Next up is the is broadening the worship experience. So I want to be creative, I want to be diverse, and accessible worship that helps people encounter God meaningfully. What does that mean? Well, there's multiple styles, there's multiple voices and opportunities, expressions. We have music, which, by the way, band, you do a great job in leading us in worship. There is prayerful opportunities or prayer times, testimonials I mentioned briefly. Then there's the silence as well. Visual elements, all to strengthen how we go about our church life. So, I've just talked about the house, the roof, the umbrella, the guiding principle, the pillars, the 4 pillars we just talked about, and a foundational aspect. I do reflect back on Isaiah 30, in this case, 21, which says, whether you turn to the left or the right, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. So back to my sailing analogy, as we set our course together, we do not rely on human energy alone. We move forward in faith, trusting in God's strength, and we journey together in grace, supporting and encouraging one another as his people. If we continue to seek the Lord, loving God, loving people, sailing together as a crew, we can trust him to guide Tuggeranong Baptist Church to a fruitful and faithful and exciting future. I would like to just take a moment to conclude by, as the chair of the Future Directions Group, to sincerely thank all the Future Directions Group members. Some have moved on. Mona, for example, has gone down south into VFL territory, into Victoria. But I'd like to thank you all for your contribution. Will's not here today, but I think almost everyone else is, so thank you for your commitment. I also like to thank all the survey participants. You can't imagine the joy that I had and Daphne had, that we had, 100% or over 100% participation. That was really, really important. So we thank you for that. For the Flight Future Directions Group members themselves, thank you for your thoughtful engagement, for your energy and willingness to tack our way together around the first and second sailing marks. Through your collective effort, you have helped shape and determine Tuggeranong Baptist Church's future direction. It's not done and dusted. There's a lot more work to be done. And there's a lot of food for thought in all of that. But by trimming the mainsail, adjusting the jib, and refining our course, and reducing our drag along the way, we are set for the future. So I look forward to see what God has for our church, for our pastor, our eldership, our leadership, and for all the things that we've talked about today and where we're going to head forward. Thanks. That's the report. Happy to take questions at some other time after the service.